Okay, we are officially live. So good afternoon, I guess, everyone. Seems like it's getting dark a lot quicker outside, but this week's edition of Meet the Staff Mondays. You're here, as always, with myself, Jeff. I'm the owner of Pure Bowling. And today I have invited on a staffer here with Pure Bowling for the past about 2 seasons, Christina Hartl. So, Christina, welcome. And how are we doing today?
Good, Jeff. Thanks for having me. It's a nice day,
Apps.
so I'm actually sitting outside so you don't hear my dogs bark in the background.
Yeah, that's good. It's people are used to the audio issues, so no dogs, no feedback on my end, so it should be a pretty good feed here. It is beautiful. I should have sat outside as well, but it's kind of like a little dim in the house right now, and I'm trying to work on the lighting, so hopefully it's not too dark. But anyway, each week we love to have a guest on the program. And whoops, I just hit the wrong button. Guests on the program here to just kind of talk a little bit about bowling and allow the individuals that are out there to learn a little bit more about the player and maybe answer some questions along the way of your journeys. So, Christina, why don't we start off by talking a little bit about what got you into the sport? Where did it start for you?
I started probably when I was about 8 or 9. I had begged, borrowed, and pleaded with my mom to start after school bowling. I used to go Friday nights with my dad. He used to bowl, and I think my mom did before I was born. So it's just something I was really interested in, really wanted to do. So I'd started with after school bowling, and from there, it just escalated to Saturday morning bowling and tournaments and junior gold and eventually college and now trying to compete at the PWA level. So it started with just the league and escalated from there.
And that's good. And you grew up in what area? Were you right here from your hometown was Ephrata, or where did you do your bowl when you grew up?
Yeah, my hometown's Ephrata, so I grew up bowling at Dutch Lanes.
Okay, so pretty much right down the street from where our facility is at this point. Um, but what was it about bowling that kind of reached out and grabbed you, and that was the sport you kind of wanted to get involved in?
I mean, growing up, I played a lot of sports. I played basketball, I played softball, um, but bowling was the one thing that kept taking me places. It kept taking me to new levels, just different tournaments. I kept meeting new people and then getting involved with more activities. And I realized, in high school that I wasn't getting any taller, so basketball probably wasn't going to be my career. So I just kept stuck with bowling. And then someone said, "Hey, you can bowl in college," and I was like, I didn't know that. So then I started looking into that, and that was something that really interested me. Competing at that level, competing on an all women's team was something that was really new to me. So I kind of ran with it.
Right, and I know it kind of gives it away. So I'm assuming you did your high school bowling for Ephrata, or
Yep.
so Ephrata, and then that took you to spoiler here, she's wearing the shirt, St. Francis University. So as you already stated, you went to St. Francis University, bowled on the women's team there, and what was that like? What's that experience bowling at the collegiate level?
I bowling at the collegiate level is really unlike any other experience I think I've ever had bowling. And it's only 4 years, and you don't ever really get it back. It's just intense. It's a different level of bowling because you have, there's different styles. You do Baker, you do traditional. You're traveling every weekend, and you always have your teammates behind you. It's definitely something I really miss because competing, individually is not the same on any level.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that support. It's just you and you alone. Um, so I would say that it was a really great experience. And it's something I definitely missed, and I would recommend it to anyone looking to go into, because you're just not going to find that anywhere else.
Right, and I think it's a good point that you made. You kind of said, I didn't realize there was women's bowling, and obviously now, I mean, collegiate bowling is huge, and especially on the women's side, I mean, there is plenty of opportunities for scholarship, competing definitely for the NCAA and or other conferences. It's a little different for the guys. I mean, there is some educational money usually that can be thrown out there to the guys, but the women's side of it is really where you can get a full ride to college and come out with an academic degree from a great university while you're getting bowled during the whole thing. So, I mean, would you say? I mean, I know you're saying you miss it. So, would you say that you actually enjoy team bowling more than you do the individual level?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I would definitely say that. I think I personally perform better when it's a team setting. I just I just enjoy it. I enjoy bowling with other people. And just I feel like having that support and having to pick your teammates up or them picking you up when you're down, you don't get that kind of like roller coaster of like emotions or that kind of like championship feeling as like as you do as an individual. I feel like they're two different feelings. And you don't really find many tournaments around here that you can do those team events.
Hmm.
So that's what I would say is like the difference.
That's cool. I mean, we did honestly. Actually, we got the Bowl Baker event together. What, probably about a month ago now, which it was a ton of
Yeah.
fun. Unfortunately, we got nine a lot during that event, but it still nonetheless was a good time. And for me, I never got to really experience that type of team thing like you would at the women's level. But just going and watching it, when they had events at Burke's or Heaster's or I guess it was Kutztown that put a lot of those on. And getting just to see the atmosphere in there, it's incredible. So if anybody out there hasn't seen it, or you have a young girl that's in high school now, or even younger, that's interested in collegiate bowling, I really recommend that you get out there and take them and let them watch an event like this, because it's different, it's special. You got to kind of be in shape too, because man, you girls don't sit down ever, and you
No.
have to have some pretty strong hands, because I'll tell you what, I think the girls smack hands harder than some of the guys do. But one of the things that I kind of joke with some of the other girls that the collegiate girls is you've been out of school how many years? I'm not trying to age you, but how long's it been since you competed?
5 years. Yeah.
Okay, so not too long. So do you remember all the cheers and the things you did? I mean, usually there's cadences and there's cheers along those lines that each school does. Do you have one that stuck with you, or am I going to put you on the spot and make you recite one right now?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I want to recite one, but I remember a good bit of them. And it was a lot. I mean, I think we had to cheer for pretty much everything. Because it just keeps that in an atmosphere like that, I would almost say that you have to keep that level of energy, because as soon as you lose that energy, it's very noticeable.
Hmm.
And if you've been to a college tournament, you can definitely tell it. Like there's definitely certain cheers we like more than others. And you can tell that when those moments happen.
Yeah, we're not going to pry it out of her, folks. I was trying to get her to give us one, but I don't think she's going to do it. But one of these days, I'm going to get somebody on here to give me one of the cheers. I mean, I've heard them; some of them are wrong, but it's um,
Yes.
I hear the ones from my other half from Ship, so there's a couple good ones there. And she actually popped in here and asked the question of you already, and she said, who was your biggest influence growing up in the sport?
Um, I I think there's just a lot of people. I would say Carrie. I've known you for a very long time, so one of my most memorable moments was watching you make Junior Team USA. And I remember thinking like I want to do that. And that was a pretty big impression on me. I got to work with Alicia Current in high school and growing up, and I got to witness her career, and that was and she was from Ephrata too, and I remember thinking to myself like I can do that too. Um, so that's really where it all those those couple moments like really stick out to me. And that's when I thought like I can do this, and I'm not just a league bowler. So I would say you and her, especially in like that capacity, definitely influenced me.
Good. And I know, I'm going to pull it out of you too. I know your mother loves bowling to death. So, we see your mother every time you're competing and stuff. So I'm sure in a different manner, your mother's a big one on there as well, whether she was like you said, you think she bowled years ago, but I will say it's pretty awesome. Every time I see Jean out at, tournaments and stuff sitting in the back, she's just engulfed and just it's awesome to see somebody enjoy the sport that much that doesn't even compete themselves, just going out there watching, their daughter compete. And, she does that to this day, and God bless her, all those hours she works and then works all night and then comes there and watches. I don't know how she stays awake, but it's pretty impressive. But Brandon popped in. He wanted to know if you have any, how do you get ready for a tournament day? You a person that listens to music? Do you got like, something to get pumped up, something along those lines?
Um, Sometimes I listen to music, usually in the car. I don't. I think in college I used to listen to more music, or like as a team we had a couple like pump up songs. Individually, I don't necessarily do that as much. Um, Usually before a tournament, I just try to like remind myself of my confidence. So, I'll repeat things to myself like, I always make my spares, and like try and visualize myself making every spare that I usually leave, 10 pins, 7 pins, ones
Mhm.
that I struggle with. So just trying to get myself in the right mindset is more of like a pre-tournament thing. Because usually if I miss a spare, it's because I've thought about missing a spare. So I try to get those things out of my brain before I even start bowling.
Yep, all that mental stuff we talk about, we all suffer from it. We've all been there. All did it this week. And I think this is a good question that came through from Paul, because Paul's daughter Erin is going to Chestnut Hill after next year. So this is a good question. What do you think is the biggest difference between high school bowling, which is a team bowling environment, and then jumping up into the collegiate ranks?
I would say one of the biggest differences, and if correct me if I'm wrong, I think she goes to Elizabethtown, so they were, when I was bowling, a little bit bigger of a school. But as far as like Ephrata, I would say I was, the old saying, a big fish in a little pond. So there weren't that many of us, and I was always bowling, and I was always starting. And I don't really think I sat out a match or anything. But when you go to college, you're going with the top players, and everyone was a top player at their own
Mm-hmm.
school. So, and you have to remember that. So sometimes your place isn't going to be bowling. Sometimes it's supporting the team, and I think that's the biggest adjustment that I've seen for everyone across the board is not is knowing that you can make a difference, and but like you're not actually throwing the ball, and you have to be supportive of that. And then everyone wants to bowl, and I get that. And everyone wants to start, and everyone wants to throw every frame, but sometimes that's not your position on the team that day. And I think that's the biggest transition. And the sooner you come to terms with that and accept that, the better your team will be.
And I think that's awesome, because it's a good thing. It's something like a leader would say, but also a really good teammate, because it's not, when you're at that level, it's all about supporting each other. And even when you're past college, like for instance, right now we're on here talking, and I look at you, Christina, as my teammate. I don't look at you as one of my players, right? And
Yeah.
we all want to support each other in a way to make each other better, right? So the more that you kind of embrace everyone around you, and you extract the things that they do well, and they learn from the things that you do really well, is going to make you set the foundation to make you even stronger as a player. So listen to those words of what she's saying there, Paul, and Erin, if you're out there listening, that go in there with an open mind and understand that everybody there is there to take their game to the next level. But at the same time, sometimes we're not ready to take all that on, and we need to embrace whatever level we're at, and whatever we need to do to work harder to put ourselves in that position. We see this, going from the collegiate ranks and then going up into the PWBA, which, I'll talk to you a little bit about here as well, because again, it's almost like you're taking another level, because now you went up to the college ranks, and you learn that, wow, everybody here is pretty good. And then you learn to be better. And then you get out of college, you're like, man, I'm going to go out and bowl the PWBA. And you get to the PWBA and you go, holy shit, everybody's really freaking good here. They're all Americans out here. And then, you get into that next level. It doesn't stop. And I guess where I'm getting at with that is, this whole game and everything we talk about, we're on here with all the players that are on, it's a constant evolution of what you need to do to make yourself better. So, to ad lib going into that now, Christine, I know you've competed in a few PWBA events, but what's maybe your goal, or what's the next step for Christina? I mean, where do you want to go?
I mean, next stop is definitely PWBA. I'm trying to map out tournaments for 2021. Fingers crossed, COVID pending. And now that my work schedule allows me to bowl more often, that's really what I have my eye on. So regional events and PWA events, my next step is to cash in an event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's definitely a feasible goal for 2021. Absolutely. But like you said, there's always, it's like going on to next. So what do you do after that? Then you want to
Mm-hmm.
cash again? Do you want to be in step ladder? So I'm currently working on those goals and seeing how many tournaments I can do, but that's definitely like my next step.
And it's it's a good thing to point out, because ultimately our goal when we go into any event is we want to win. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Whether we have our mindset to the point where we think we can win is a much different thing. But you need to set goals for yourself. And it doesn't matter what age you are, right? You have to set a goal and a realistic goal. And when you hit that goal, that's when you put the next one in place, right? So if your goal is to cash, right? And I'm going to throw it out and I'm going to pick on myself a little bit here too, because it's fair, right? Um, I was injured for a very long time, and I used to bowl at a very high level and had a ton of setbacks over there. And as much as I want to win, my my competitive level right now is I want to go into each event feeling, my goal is to cash in the event right now. Now I do go in there with the knowing that I'm good enough to win if the stars align right that day and stuff. But again, it doesn't matter what, where you're at in your journey. You have to set realistic expectations for yourself. But then you got to go back when you either hit that goal, or if you're not hitting the goal, to understand what that gap is. What is the gap in the game that is going to take you from being here to where you want to go, right? I think you hit the nail on the head. You run spares down. How often have we went into a tournament and we said, if I just would have made every spare, single pin spare, non-split, I would have cashed, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're all guilty when we go out and practice sometimes that we go up and we throw shots, and I'll yell at the gang at the training center when I see them push the reset button when they leave something up to go try to strike again. I go, what are you doing? Stop doing that. Go make the spare, because you obviously didn't make a good first shot. So make sure you go up and you make that spare, because when you leave it in competition, they have to be more automatic. So I think it's something that we really need to embrace, that's going to make all of us better players. And obviously, Christina, you obviously have a game that's capable of cashing at the local levels here and out on tour. I know for yourself, you've been working on being a little more aggressive, gaining a little more ball speed or foot speed, if you will, to try and cut down on all those obnoxious 10 pins and 7 pins from maybe the ball not having quite enough oomph going through it. But I think the words that you're saying is important for everybody to hear out there. That's her journey, right? My journey, the same thing. I want to win a regional title. I'm going to do it. Unfortunately, I wasn't the first one in my house to do it. She's at a different level than I am, right? She's it's just how bowling is, but that's why I think it's so incredible, and why this game is so much fun, and why it's so important that we do these segments and people can reach out to you now, Christina, and put a name to the face and understand, hey, she's got a lot of collegiate knowledge. This is a person we could bend her ear a little bit to understand what we have to do for maybe our daughter that's interested, or that is transitioning from college now and may be able to answer some questions. It's a constant evolution, and I think your mind's in the right spot, and I'm glad to see that you finally got one of them jobs there that allows you to do a little more bowling, doesn't have you on such a crazy schedule,
Thank you.
and allows you to compete out there. I understand wholeheartedly how that is. So 13 years working overnights, and yeah, it's hard to compete and feel like you got all the energy underneath you and stuff. How about some more questions out there? We had a couple good ones that came through, but some of the other things we do like to talk about, Christina. So you don't have to get in depth, but I mean, what is it? What do you do outside of maybe bowling that's for fun? What else are the interests that Christina Hartl has?
Well, I have 2 dogs, so I spend time and spoil them. But aside from that, I spend a lot of time with family and friends. You mentioned my mom comes to pretty much everything bowling related that she can, so I do spend a lot of time with her. My brother's also a big supporter of my
Mhm.
bowling as well. Growing up, those two were definitely my biggest fans, so I spend a lot of time with them. Um, Other than that,
You're
mostly in a bowling alley.
yeah, you're allowed to say you like drinking beer. I do it all the time.
Do like drinking beer. Yes,
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
very
We had a question come through here, and here you go. Here's a collegiate player that has one heck of a career in college, but Olivia Farwell. She asked you what your favorite college memory is.
hands down winning our first NEC championship for the school. Um, it was definitely a team effort. Um, and I remember that feeling to this day. It was incredible. It was incredible for the school. it was at our home turf, which was even more cool. And there was just no other feeling like it. We really made a run to try and go to the NCAA level. Unfortunately, we didn't get selected. Since then, they've kind of changed those rules for that, and I think that if they had they done that sooner, that
Mm-hmm.
really would have benefited us, because then we would have gotten to go. But just there's nothing better than winning as a team.
Right.
And
And
so,
for anyone out there that, that rule change your tie, is there like some type of automatic bid or something? I don't even know the rule there.
I believe they changed it, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm out of college a couple years now. So I believe if you win your conference, you get to go, and then it's the eight selection. And maybe Olivia
Okay.
would know probably a little better than I do, but I think they changed that a couple years following me graduating.
Right. Right. And it makes total sense. They do a lot of that in other, collegiate sports to make sure that, some of the smaller conferences and stuff have a chance to go to, whether it's the big dance in basketball or they're going into the FBS, the football series and stuff. So, it's pretty awesome though to see how much growth there is right now in collegiate bowling programs as they expand, and hoping once the year turns the clock here that they'll have a chance to get them back on the lanes. I know there's a few tournaments that have been hosted. I know McKendree hosted one recently where they had some collegiate programs. That was kind of one of the first ones to kind of test the waters and stuff to get some of the girls back on the lanes. The guys at this point, I have not seen anything that the guys are competing yet, so just hoping everybody can get back on the lanes. Olivia said, yeah, she's correct. Winners of conference automatically go into the regional qualifier, then top 8 get to go. Duquesne was going to have their name called last year. However, COVID struck. She is right. So Olivia, hopefully, for your sake as well, with the program there at Duquesne and, the other girls you're with there, definitely want to see you girls get to compete at the pinnacle of the level there. But we are going to get to see Olivia as she popped in here, and you'll get to see Christina. And for anyone else out there, there's a women's event that we are hosting in, it's about 2 weeks now, on the 21st at 222 Dutch Lanes, where you grew up doing your bowling. And we're going to have a lot of really good players from the college all the way up to the professional level competing. And, if you're not signed up for that and you're out there watching this, get your entry in. I'd really love to get it sold out at 60 girls. We're keeping it at a minimal level just because of, COVID and everything else. We're going to spread out and, but it's going to be a good event. It's what the girls asked for. So if they don't show up, I'm going to be mad at all of them. So that's just how it is. You asked me to do something, I'm going to do it. So, but anyone else out there today, it's like every feed, I think we say this, we're almost at that 23, 24 minute mark already. It's pretty easy to get, spewing about bowling and stuff, but we'll give a little more time for a few more answers here. But I have a question for you, Christina. So you obviously know that we bowl league tonight, and everybody that bowls league on our team. So it's me, Carrie, Kevin, and Dom. I want you on this feed to list in order who is going to have the highest set tonight in order. You don't have to give me numbers, but you can go in order of names.
Ooh. Carrie will
Fair?
probably have the highest. I don't watch you guys bowl in a couple weeks. Kevin, Jeff, Dom.
Oh, Dom, you're on the
Sorry,
bottom.
Dom.
I didn't hit the cellar. I'm happy. I don't. You know what? That's pretty close. Honestly, I think Dom and I might be tied average wise, but Kevin had a huge week last week, and Carrie just runs him over every week. So it's going to be hard to catch her, but it's fun. We like to have fun with it. But for me, it's more about swing looseners and having a little fun on a Monday night. But Steve popped in here as well. We talked about my tournament. Any other local tournaments you have, on your agenda coming up here on the schedule?
Well, I'm bowling City County with the Pureit Women's next Friday and Saturday. So we'll be doing a team, and then we'll be doing doubles. I'll be doing doubles with Chelsea. And that Sunday, I'm headed up to Pottsville. I always get those.
I'm going to Strike Zone.
Yep. So
I'm going to Strike Zone as well. That's my building. If you don't say that I'm going to win in that building, then we have a problem. I don't know what it is about TJ's building up there for whatever reason. Every time we bowl there, I bowl well. Dom just tuned in, just so you know, and he said he cooked you dinner last night, so that's garbage. How dare you put him last?
That's
So
true. You did, and it was
it's all
very
right. Well,
good.
we're not talking about your food, Dom. We're talking about your bowling. So if you wanna be mad at her, it's fine. But then you better beat one of us tonight, because I will say you were low last week, so she probably went off last week's score. But I would have flip flop. I think Kevin had Carrie by a little bit last week. He had a big week. He had like 790 or something silly. Um, Carrie only had 760. I mean, that's nothing. But anyway, looks like that.
For you over me in our match. So I mean, fair is fair.
It is. Yes, that was a. And you say you leave a lot of 10 pins and 7 pins, and I'll tell you what. Talk about being pushing a match. I threw like we had a 2-game match, and we had a little staff tournament going on, and Christina and myself had to bowl each other, and I bowled 240 at her the first game. She bowls 220, 230. I mean, it was within like 17
Something
pins
like
or
that,
something.
yeah.
17 pins, and then we go 7 frames into game 2. We both have all strikes in both the spare each, so we're both pacing like 78 or 79. And I'm like, everybody else that's bowled has bowled like 330, and I get the person when I'm bowling good that's going to bowl freaking 490 at me. And it was a tight match. I did win, barely, but the 10 pin creeped up and got her there. But it was definitely a fun match. And go from there. Dominic's saying, no way I'll be below 2 weeks in a row. All right, Dom, we're going to go with it. I will make sure that I report on this at some point. So everybody out there in Facebook land, I might even just post the results tonight just to see if it came true for what you predicted. But Dom, I think he had 670. That's not going to cut it. We're on 19 and 20 tonight. So 19 and 20 has been I think that's a poor pair for me. So I might be low. We'll see. Doesn't matter. But anyway, Christina, that's pretty much the last one that's come through the feed here. But obviously, thank you, for joining us, tonight, and glad that you've been on staff with us now for a few years. And by all means, if anybody out there has additional questions they'd like to ask, reach out to Christina. You can find her on Facebook. She is very nice. She will probably answer you. And if there's anything that I can ever answer for anybody, please don't hesitate to reach out either. Couple more things just for the rest of this week. So this week we are going to be featuring a Talk About It Tuesday tomorrow night. We're going to have Mr. Bill O'Neill on tomorrow night. So as you know, if you watch bowling over the weekend, Bill won his 13th PBA title by capturing the PBA playoffs and a cool $100,000 yesterday. So not too bad of a weekend for him. But Bill's going to be on to talk about the Black Widow 2.0 and the Web MB. And then we will have a segment on Thursday. We'll definitely throw those down the lanes. And I'll give you a little teaser for the following week. We are going to do a Radical Ball. We're going to do the Radical Incognito. And first, I'm breaking it here. Our guest next week is going to be Andrew Anderson. So we got a ton of individuals that are kind of lined up to join us. And, again, we love talking about bowling. We love answering your questions. And as we end every single segment that we're on here, make sure you go support bowling, support your local proprietors and your pro shops, and grow the sport, gang. So without further ado, that's going to be it for tonight. I will make sure everybody knows who wins tonight. And again, Christina, thanks for joining us. And I believe you're bowling league, so bowl well tonight as well.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, gang. We'll talk to you later.